Show. Brought to you by the Club of Amsterdam.
Welcome to the Future Now Show. I'm Lise Voldeng. Our guests include Dr. Andreas Walker, Nick Price, and Hardy Schloer. Please meet Nick Price, exploring the future of collaborative networks. Nick, go.
My name's Nick Price. I'm interested in the future of collaborative networks because I use a lot of creativity and user experience tools when I practice futures thinking with people. It makes somewhat sometimes arcane practice of future studies into a very accessible practice. It can be very inclusive. You can have a lot more people involved. And then we start to build off the network of ideas that are embedded in people, because I find it's often pulling the ideas that people have about the future out into the room. There's often a lot of knowledge in place that you can pull out. So on one side we've got risk management, and then the other side, hope management. And I think that was quite an interesting thing, how we manage hope in our networks. So what do you think of that? Is that a new practice, hope management, or is it already part of our political machines?
I think it's a fantastic new hope. I think it's a fantastic new practice, and like many things, implicit and probably ready to be drawn out into the realm of the explicit. Yeah. Andreas, what would your response be to that?
Absolutely, I guess. Hope management is a question of leadership. Do you motivate somebody by hope, or do you make him angry regarding Fukushima and so on?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because as you were talking, I was thinking about risk management, and then what does it disable in people? What does it stop people doing? And then hope management. If you encourage hope, what does that enable within people and enable within networks? It enables people within networks to collaborate and then bring new things forward, new possibilities forward.
Nick,
Hardy, what do you think?
Nick, would you accept that I would call hope a network response to fear particles running through the network?
I think that's an interesting point where we move from risk, which might be very personal, but hope might be something that needs to be validated by other people in order to have it. It's something that we take from other people. Do you think that's true?
I think this aspect is very, very important. If we see the personal living situation of somebody, if somebody is living as a single, the level of hope is relatively low. The question of hope is a question of living together. If you have a high relationship level, if you have a lot of friends, if you have a family, if you have a lot of good relations, then you also have a high level of hope, we find out.
Let me maybe add one thing. I mean, I'm in this exact research since 1981, and obviously over the last 30 years I have collected a lot of data, and I have done a lot of studies in this area. But what I can say empirically after these 30 years is that the behavior and the formation of ideas and concepts of an individual is very different than that of the group. A person acts entirely different, thinks different, expects different as an individual than it does as a group. And if you doubt that, then I suggest to you the following example. Interview a person all by himself, and then bring 5 other people into the room and interview the same person again. Just reverse the questions, mix them around or whatever. The person.
But Hardy, that's only the case where you have groups of culturally entrained people who are acting like a Borg. They're living within the context of a consciousness of fear particles. There are many more pockets of individuals, and individuals, if you're going to talk about particles that resonate at a level that change all of the particles in relation to them, And I don't think that hope is a response to fear. I think that there are other things that are a response to fear. I'm more inclined to agree with Andreas that the level of hope rises in direct relation to the amount of love one has. Hope, thus being an offshoot of love, fear being nothing but broken love. And we live in a culture of broken love. We have a bunch of broken systems. We function as a single organism that's forgotten each of its parts. We're all cells of a single sea in a single body. And what I really want to bring this to is what, given your exquisite expertise looking at these things, what are the solutions to creating a culture of hope, using collaborative tools, and transcending a culture of fear? Because we can talk forever about a culture of fear. It's not going to help us take care of ourselves.
Let me just respond for 1 second to that. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it helps in social psychology to adopt some kind of a romantic Charles Dickens view on how groups work. Groups work in a very instinctive way that has not changed over the last, let's say, 500,000 years. They still have caveman instincts, and when you talk about things like hope and fear, you're talking about something that lies very, very, very low inside the core.
Of course, there we are in the deep of Plato's cave.
Behavior, and also, when I was earlier talking about my example, you can take 5 people in a room and they do not talk to each other, but they will act as a group instantaneously, communicating with each other, not using any words. And that they have learned from millions of years of fighting, 20 weak men with wooden spears fighting a huge wild animal that they had to bring down, where usually 5 of them would be dying. And the only way they would kill the animal was acting together as a group instinctively without using words, just working together. So when we talk about these things like hope and fear, we talk about some very, very instinctive group behavior stuff. And I don't think these romantic concepts of love and whatever you want to...
I'm not talking romantic concepts. I'm talking about physiological, innate, evolved behaviors. I'm talking about patternings that come out of reptilian brains and the need to hunt and protect, and pack animal behaviors that have dogs when their alpha, or who they perceive to be their alpha, is wounded. The junior egos, the junior dogs kill them. We are animals. We are all of these things. And love is not a romantic concept. We could sit and argue that forever. What I'm talking about is what are solutions for hope. Bring it on, Hardy. Let me hear it. I want to hear what you have to offer there. Give me something that you think is an effective tool for dealing with creating a culture of hope. Bring it on. I know you got it in there.
Nick, I want to hear a lot more from you, Nick.
I was interested. It was a great way the conversation went. Something that floated through my mind was the idea of false hope and the false hope industry, which might be a centralized function of message giving, whereas networks of people have a way to develop realistic hope, detached from the messages that are pushed at us. So, do you think that's a useful idea?
From our study, we have some interesting situations now. We see in our culture, in the German-speaking culture, if you are speaking about hope, everybody is afraid that you are manipulated on a romantic way.
Yeah.
If you are speaking about angst, worries, sorrows, then it seems to be very, very rational. And that's a question of the culture. So it is accepted to lead somebody by punishment, and we have a problem in our culture by lead somebody to making him hope. And that's interesting for me, how you may manipulate somebody one and the other way. And we also see that we have a lot of surveys regarding this culture of risks, We hardly have any surveys regarding the culture of hope. We do not have a lot of information how hope is working. And I totally agree with you that we have the problem when we are talking about hope, then we have the problem of to be disappointed. And that's a huge point, to be disappointed.
Okay.
Not to fail in your hopes, but to be disappointed in your hopes.
Thank you, Andreas. Gentlemen, I'm going to wrap us up. Thank you for joining us. Let's build a better world.